Alright. Hey everybody. It's me, Walrex. And I'm being joined by well, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Virgil. Hello, Walrex.
Hello. Hi guys. Alright. So for those of you watching this very intense early season advanced match, we have Cat Posse versus Dior. And yeah, these two teams looking to be maybe a little higher seeded. It's the start of the season, so really there hasn't really been any precedent set. But I don't know. I'm kind of curious because I feel like this could be a close match. If it ends up being a roll one way or the other, then we're gonna have a pretty good sense of who like a top four looking team really looks like.
Yeah, I think as a advanced player right now, Walrex will probably have a better sense of what you should expect out of these two teams. I do recognize a few names on both of these sides. I think Kavita's been around for a while, and I think Kavita may have played ESCA IM playoffs a while ago on demo. We're seeing them on, I think, maybe Scout now because they're not on Soldier.
Yeah, it's let's see, what class is Kavito playing? Because yeah, I know Kavito for demo. Kavito's still playing demo, so that's gonna be I think like the big name for Dior. Because well, the rest of the players I recognize them personally, but I don't think a lot of people would. Uh,
Yeah, we can go down the rosters really quickly. I think we've got about a minute and a half or so before we go live. I believe on the Cat Posse side, we've got Yum Yum and Shining Star on Scouts. Shining Star being a pretty well recognized name, I think, in this mid to high advanced division. KTB and I'm guessing Toss on Soldiers. KTB, another long term player. Uh, I'm not too sure I recognize the demo's name. They're just going by Phase Cactus or something like that.
yeah, that's Karama.
Kurama, that's right. You've mentioned that before. Yeah, Kurama. We saw him play with HR team, I think, and the invite qualifiers, and he did a pretty solid job. Excited to see what he's gonna bring. Then you can talk to us about
Yeah,
these
Dior
other guys.
addicts. Yeah, no. So I think this is an interesting roster. So I was glancing at their histories. So we have Claps on Flank Scout and Vegan on what is it now? Is it Romer or Pocket? He's on Pocket. I believe they both played together last season and they won main. So they made a bit of a jump, main to advanced. Obviously they couldn't go to like Div 2 because the divisions have merged. But then on the other side of things we have Anthony and I think it was
Aimer or
Aimer.
Vegan, one of
Anthony
them.
is yeah, one of them won Div 2 last season. So we have a couple winners on Dior Addicts right now. Uh, Also, like, and the thing is these players maybe haven't been around as long as like Shining Star or KTB have, but I've seen them around. I remember back when I was playing two centers over the past few years, maybe a little casually. I might come up. Definitely see Anony, Vegan, full name Vegan Feminist Two Vapes. I know it. If you know, you know.
I recognize that name now that you say the whole
Yeah.
thing.
If you know, you know. And even Claps. I recognize a lot of these people from TF2 centers from years and years past, so I don't think they're new by any means, but maybe a little new to the official competitive environment. So, as I'm
Yeah,
saying this, I think we've got new server
we
info.
do. I think there is a little bit of spice we might want to address, and that's the recent roster changes to the Dior Addicts lineup. They had a few players that were recently banned for cheating. I think these kind of accusations carried over from last season, which is pretty interesting to say the least. Obviously, they are. I think that a lot of them are saying they either didn't know, which is fine, or they're standing by their players saying they were wrongly accused of cheating and things like that, which is fine. But either way, it's gotta kind of throw a wrench in their early season plans, having to change your roster up so sporadically.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. To say the roster has been borderline hijacked at this point, I think who are the only real leftovers from the old team were, I believe, like Cavito and Tank.
I want to say Aimer ended up playing with them late last season after they had some Because I remember there was a whole situation last season where they cut their scout and then Aimer came in, but I don't remember what the exact situation with that was.
Yeah, so it's definitely like the roster has definitely changed pretty significantly, but like I'm interested because I do recognize some of these players and like I feel like this could be a good match to kind of make a statement because I definitely feel the public presence would say Cat Posse is a heavy favorite. Believe Shining Star would be considered the strongest scout in advance this season, at least until any, logs say otherwise or any matches show otherwise.
I think you might be being a bit humble right now, Walrex.
Oh, you haven't
Gonna
seen
throw
the
that out there, the
log.
conflict of
Not
interest.
seen the log. No, Shining Star is definitely a top dog at the moment, presumably. And then yeah, Yum Yum's no slouch either. Big pug powerhouse.
Yeah, I
And
think I remember him and Ray actually playing in Div 2 either semis or grands a couple seasons ago. And yeah, they were really solid players. I think Ray is arguably one of the, like the better medics right now in advance, at least I would think so. Um and likewise I know Yum Yum was just a really strong scout overall as well.
so really can't like slouch on KTB.
Oh no, of course not.
The old Rocket Wizard. Uh Definitely brings a little Waddle Soldier back into the day, but every time I played with him or against him, even recently, the guy has his directs intact. So I'm
Mhm.
expecting to see some rocket wizardry. Pardon the cringe, but it's gonna. I'm want to be on his cam. I think he's gonna hit some good rockets.
Yeah, I guess I am curious if you think there's any like weaknesses that kind of are apparent in any of these rosters. I think the obvious one that we can point out is your addicts just seems to have overall less formal competitive experience, but that's not to say they don't have experience playing the game overall. I think, as you said, all of these are kind of TF2 center lobby players.
Yeah,
But
it's like for instance, I think, and I'm seeing a little speech in chat to this as well, but I think Claps has some high potential to upset this game. Uh, like I said, he hasn't spent a lot of time in the spotlight in the formal competitive scene, but people who have played with him in pretty much any context have either been rolled or carried by him on Scout.
right,
So
right.
definitely potentially set a new precedent with this match about who the real top dog Scout is in the div.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that matchup. It's always kind of interesting when you have really aggressive scouts playing each other and knowing Shining Star, and if we're to believe what we're hearing about Claps right now, is it should be a pretty good matchup to watch. Um, yeah, any other interesting roster points you want to talk about? Maybe the demo men?
Yeah, so the demo for Kurama versus Kavito, that is an interesting matchup for me because Kurama honestly, Kurama's a pretty old player. Like, I think Kurama was on my first IM team, except he played medic back then too. I'm not sure if he always main demo or what, but he's been putting up some big large numbers in pugs. He also rang demo for the invite qualifiers for I forget which team, but that team uh what qualified. So that's a pretty good marker for him there too. Meanwhile, Kavito's also been like a top demo for not a top demo, like a pretty high advanced demo for a while now. So, that's the one side of things where I think the roles reverse, where Cat Posse has the less experienced, the less prestigious demo, but the numbers are there, like all these players, at least in the logs, indicate that there is potential for dominance.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the big thing. It's always really exciting when you have a bunch of players that are kind of starting to bridge that gap between the lower parts of Invite and the upper parts of Advance. And I think that we're seeing a lot of that, especially with the demos. Kurama just kind of showcasing he's not rusty at all and is just very much so capable of playing at that low Invite level. And then, of course, Kavita been hanging around here on multiple classes for a few seasons now. Really gonna be excited to see the demo matchup, especially on these early mids. I don't think Snakewater is particularly one that's entirely defined by a demo, but having a really strong demo presence can be a very can really sway the fight if all else is even, I'd say.
No, I'd agree. You're right that, When I think like about the maps, Snakewater not might not be so demo heavy at mid as say Gully Wash, but there's a lot of things that a demo needs to do on Snakewater mid to support your team. Controlling high ground is really big on this map. So from any demo's POV, the two areas that you want to lock down, just for reference, is either the left shed where their pocket scout is, because that guy is number one denial for your soldiers. And the other source of spam you really want to hit up is top right, the top right roof, because that's going to deny their flank from getting aggressive on your combo. So that's a lot to kind of juggle as a demo, and all while you're doing this, you need to be cautious of the demo 1v1 that could happen across point at any time. So basically, like you have three areas that you really need to pay attention to. But as you say that, we're heading into the match. Let's go.
Yeah, you want this first mid, Walrex, or you want me to
Sure,
take it?
I'll take a slow look at it. I'm curious to see how things will pan out. If we're gonna see either team bust out the double bomb to start, maybe a wrap through kitchen, or just a slow stalemate. But we see Kavito and Karama getting hit at approximately the same time, both spamming each other out. Both teams opting. Oh no no no! Actually, we see Dior playing stacking the right lane with both soldiers, a little unorthodox, actually leaving their left side totally open. And we see Aimer gets in immediately, gets air shot by Taz. And with that pick, KTB is going to get in onto the medic, Tank, take him down, and it's basically just going to be just a slow walk to the finish here for Cat Posse to clean up this mid.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a pretty fast mid, especially the initiation. Namer just kind of went in alone. He didn't have a lot of support from his team. I don't know if that was a miscommunication or what. But considering how Kavito started the mid, I'm assuming maybe Kavito called that they got a lot of early damage on Kurama, and maybe Aimer thought he could still follow up on that, but the quick denial resulted in him just giving up his life, and then they had to take a 5v6, which very quickly turned into a 4v6 as KTB jumped in through that far left lane and landed on Tank.
yeah, no, quick shout out to Taz, by the way. Haven't spoke about him in the roster matchups, but good air shot at mid, and we see they're trying to take space here now, pushing into second. KDB goes in maybe a little early and dies, but the damage is going to be enough to basically prevent Dior from pushing out onto second.
Yeah,
Uh,
and unfortunately, as you say that, it looks like Cap Hossy's trying to take their heels into lower, start getting space, and then Shining Star is just taken down by Aimer, so that's gonna stagnate, and I'm curious if they're still gonna try and end up taking this Uber advantage in. It's only about 30% was initially a full Uber ad.
yeah,
Or
I
just
hate to see stalemates, but I have to say taking this Uber at this point would be a mistake, just because the Ubers are evening and the gun is up, and that gun's just going to slow things down way too much.
Yeah, exactly, and it is like this first round. I think people are always a little bit wary in the first round of matches, so definitely gonna see this slower pace as we see Ray already kind of trying to play these sniper sightlines. But it doesn't look like
Yeah,
there's a
no
sniper on either
snipers on the
team.
field. It's good practice.
No, I
We
think
are
I think there
seeing.
was a sniper for a bit, but
All right, yeah. Toss tries to get in through lower and do the nice high bomb, but he clips on the ceiling.
ooh, Vegan actually gets a real good
Oh,
bomb onto the demo in bot lobby. Kurama going down. I think Kurama was just a slightly overextended there, being completely alone in lobby. I'm not too sure why he was so far forward. He may have been trying to get a trap, but either way, that's going to be the cue for Taking Co to come forward. As the Uber exchange happens on bridge, it's slightly better for Ray, as she's going to be bringing her teammates forward into lobby, seeing if they can take any space, but no, as it happens, the Ubers are ending, and KTP's going to end up losing his life as the scout comes forward. Claps going in pretty large, like getting a good bit of damage. However, they still have soldiers to contend with from Cat Posse, and there's a lot of damage coming out from the Kavito demo. However, we do find Yum Yum coming in for the flank, getting onto Earthy Take with the total collapse coming in onto Vegan and Claps. Ray with a crazy good serve to live there. She manages to get onto the actual high fence, not taking any fall damage, and lives. It's only 2 up now on the side of Dior Addicts, and it's just gonna have to be spam down the gun and slow pushes. They can kite
yeah,
to their
that
heels if needed, and looks like
should
it's probably
be
gonna be around.
yeah, a simple finish. They sold out in the end there. That was quite interesting. So pushing out there was definitely correct for Dior because they had a demo and a soldier pick. So they, in theory, could get through for free. But you see at the start of that push, KTB, the one splash class up for Cat Posse, did stuff the door, forced their Uber, and Dior just didn't manage the other team's spawn timers very effectively during that dry fight, and just kind of bled over time. And now we're back at mid, and we see Toss going for the quick flank through kitchen, unspotted and uncontested. But we see Aimer going for a high bomb along with Vegan just to step up the aggression. They get their picks onto Ray, and with Dior picking up Toss in the flank, I was gonna say it should just be cleanup, but This is a serious scrap down at the end here, as Kavito actually does kill Yum Yum in Saw, and Kurama maybe a little thirsty trying to take this 1v1, and Kavito equally thirsty trying to take the 1v1 at mid.
They're
This
both
is
so hurt. Neither of them can commit to this, so it looks like they're just gonna both go back and try and meet their spawners. Really great flank from Yum Yum there in order to get onto the medic through Saw. By the way, we now have a soldier trying to go behind Aimer, getting some good eyes lower, but he's gonna have to back up and now trying barely just to live. KTB trying to catch him out, not going to be able to, as the mid-fight part 2 is starting to commence. Medics are sitting at about relatively equal loopers. I think Ray does have a bit of ad. I'm not too sure if either of them run the head. Either way, Vegan Bomb for trying to catch up some damage onto KTP, misses the second rocket and loses his life in the process. Antony going down as well as Aimer and Collapse. It's a lot of really fast picks coming in, especially from Shining Star and Yum Yum, and it looks like the Dim is trying to escape, but
the cut off for the tank. Just an yeah, that's gonna be a late wipe this time. Not just your regular mid wipe. You see Cat Posse being very smart, trying to take this to last. Bleeding both soldiers though, that is not how you really want to push your advantage. And actually, they're still gonna have full ad for last, but they kind of blew a potential walk in the park there by overextending into the left spawn door. So yeah, Cat Posse is gonna wait for spawners, heal up, and push. This does give Dior a little time to build a gun, but it looks like they're opting just to go for the sniper hero play and just kind of juke the Ubers and spawn, presumably. So we should be seeing that push come in a couple moments.
I think Claps right now is just holding that far right angle from their perspective, and it looks like they're actually just going to take in a really aggressive Uber. I think they thought that dior addicts were a lot closer than they were. They may be able to catch Kavito out, and there's a lot of really good sticky damage with the soldier collapse, but he misses his rockets, barely finding Take actually, of all people, as Take is trying to leave spawn. That's going to be a med pick. That's actually going to be a really good cue for Cat Posse to just get out and start building their Uber ad. Looks like that's what they're electing to do. They may start slow peeking while they're down heels. Actually, we do see Yum Yum on Spy, interestingly enough. That may have been a combination of what caused them to cancel this push.
This is actually extremely off-timing Spy. I wonder if they were doing the patent pending, Spy and post-Uber fight play, but this almost works out a little better because why would you ever expect a Spy here? If he gets any pick at all, namely medic or demo, it's going to make this push that much easier. Get the medic, you can just spam your way in. Get the demo, you can just walk in for free.
Yeah,
or he could really just hard commit and just wait for the Uber exchange again.
Honestly, that might be what he wants to do, because as Uber comes in, he just stands at the spawn door and kills anyone who tries to get in. I think right now he's just trying to call what the engineer is doing, as the Uber does end up coming in. Scout gets absolutely blasted inside. Shining Star might actually end up going down, but Ray barely flashes her at the last second. And then even finds Take doing exactly what I mentioned earlier, waiting by the spawn door for him to just back up, and Ray is just gonna end up leaving with her scout, or with her soldier rather, again, for more Uber ad.
Yeah, but they did bleed a lot of players in that push, and Dior does have incentive to try and get out here in cap second.
Yeah, I think that they should. They're just rotating lower to fight this. I think this should be an easy refight for Cat Posse. Just both scouts on second. They may be able to trade flip the cap, but I don't think they're going to be able to hold it consistently. And it doesn't look like anyone is able to get in for a flank play, and now Ray is sitting at it comfy about 50% Uber ad. So we're going to see another attempt at this last coming in from Cat Posse and Co. Pretty good work, I want to say, from Ray. I think she's done really good so far, making sure she lives to just maintain that her team has Uber ad.
I will also give props to Kavito. I think has been the sole reason why the last two Ubers have basically been a wash, doing a very good job of just sticking off point, doing damage, and not dying on these last holds.
Yeah, and I think they're also doing a really good job of stuffing the Ubers as they enter, just as they did right then. No damage on the heavy early on. They're just going to get the heavy now, and no one's actually able to stop it.
Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah, no, what happened is they cleared the stickies on point from Kavito, and then I believe it was Toss or KTB or both basically preoccupied both Dior soldiers on the left side while they captured the point. And they were both too lit to bomb it, which is usually your standard practice. So, no, that's a really well-coordinated push from Cat Posse, going up 2-0 at the mid. We see both demos. Kurama getting very aggressive in left lane. Not going to get punished. Clap's very aggressive top right. These teams are just kind of meeting each other. Kavito's forward on point. Somebody needs to die and die soon. There's so much damage going out.
Is so bad, but so is that health on Dior Addicts. They only went down to 2 health, and she ends up cratering. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Shining Star able to take down Aimer, but unfortunately the damage was just too much, and by then all of the Dior Addicts were just out onto their second. No way for them to clean up on Take right off that med pick.
Yeah,
it's gonna give them a bit of Uber ad, even though they lose the mid for it. Gonna have to see how Cat Posse elects to try and hold this second, or this midpoint, at this full disad.
Yeah, this is gonna turn into a bit of a leapfrog scenario. Dior wants nothing more than to try and get into mid for free, just threatening that Uber. Catwalk is standard here, but this is not an easy push to take without using. So that's basically where they're gonna kind of stretch the line here. They are doing a good job, a slow catwalk. Toss is going for the force. Gets a nice rocket on the Urfa tank. Two good serves. Oh, Urfa
Oh,
tank does.
barely.
Yeah, Toss just barely doesn't get it. Urfa tank with two great serves, and they are going to get mid for free.
They
Now,
dropped Cat Posse dropped 3 in the meantime.
oh my
Toss went for the
god.
sack, but KTB and Yum Yum also got cut out by the forward players. Ray is sitting at 80%, so it's not like they need to slow the second point down, but instead of being able to take an exchange or take a slow fight on that second point, they're gonna have to give it up entirely.
I was completely distracted by that bomb from Toss. I had no idea. I'd assume it was an aimer who went forward and cleaned up and got those picks. So, yeah, they actually are going to get second for free as well. Ubers are going to even out, and we're in a bit of a stalemate. We do see Yum Yum on Sniper and Vegan on Spy. So, uh, the second Spy of the game already
I
should
would
be.
also argue that this might be a bit of off timing as well, considering they just got pushed back to last. But looking at Ray, I've seen her look back a couple times, and she's playing at a pretty decent positioning to see what happens. Yum Yum is actually spy checking right now, so they probably have that information. Yeah, and it looks like he's communicated that everyone's kind of on spy alert right now. Gonna make it a little difficult for Vegan, but we'll have to see what he can get done. Maybe coordinate something with his roamer. We'll have to see. A lot of
Yeah, I
it
will
just does
say.
depend on if he knows that they know.
Yeah, once you get spotted on Spy, like your ability to make a play as an individual basically goes out the window. He's gonna have to turn this into a double of somebody just to have a chance. Uh, which is why I'm
Oh,
gonna try and
Aver good down
find.
to the stickies of Kurama. That's gonna be
Oh,
one person down. I don't know if Vegan's gonna be able to. Not Vegan. Wait, no, yes, Vegan. I don't know if he's gonna be able to do anything. Yeah, everyone
oh,
is
he's
very
going.
doing whatever he can to try and get on Ray. Gets a pistol shot off on her, but having a scout, gun, soldier, and engineer all stare at you, it's gonna make that a little tricky.
Yeah, I was. The logic is sound. He's still saying he wants to go for the play during the counter sack while they're distracted, but they knew he was on Spy. I would have liked to see him just camp it, just sit down and wait for another sack wave. But there's a chance he didn't. He maybe still believed that they didn't know. Uh,
Perhaps, yeah. I think that it might have also been he got pistol by Shining Star bumped into as well. I'm not too entirely sure. Either way, we're seeing a bit of pressure coming forward from Dior Addicts as they're trying to set up their next sack. Completely standard composition, so I'm guessing it's either going to be a 2-man or a solo sack. Hoping for a 2-man. Those are a bit spicy as we see soldiers starting to rotate through lobby. Looks like they might be trying to find an angle to spam the gun down, as that's going to be one thing they have to contest with. As actually no, they're just pressuring the soldier out of drop down. We do see Toss peeking back, but not really much he's gonna find as Dior's still slowly making their way into lobby.
yeah, that definitely seems to be like. I think they're like 1 second away from maybe just sending his soldiers skipping through top right,
Yeah,
or.
they took a fight lower. It looks like Aimer
Oh,
and Claps tried to take a fight with Toss and Yum Yum lower, and Toss and Yum Yum just got the better of them. As we actually see an Uber trade coming in from Ray, they get onto Ermpy tank, get a pretty decent force off, and make their way out, and they kill Kavito in the process. Ermpy not able to flash his demo. That's going to be an opening for Cat Posse and co. Good damage coming in from Vegan as he walks into lobby, trying to get them to drop the demo. All the players on Cat Posse are hurt, but they still don't have that demo damage to contend with as Kavito is just now spawning. Scout and coming in from Cheese, huge wrap, manages to take down Kurama, but unfortunately Ray takes him down in return. Everyone's kind of being exchanged left and right. It looks like the cap does go off, but unfortunately Cap Posse has no space and they have no soldier or demo to help retake the space with. We do see Toss getting into Cheese, getting a pretty good amount of damage on the flank scout and everyone, and able to draw them back a bit, but Yum Yum is exchanged in the process, and that's going to be the cue for Cat Posse to leave, as Raid gets a bit juggled, but is able to surf out alongside Shining Star.
yeah, these teams are having just trouble retaking Snake second, and I can't blame them. You can't play the point slowly because the spawn timers just heavily favor the team defending second. So, yeah, Cat Posse kind of got stuck in lobby for a long time, and yeah, the longer it takes for you to get out of lobby, it's just like your chance to really secure the second point just kind of plummets. So they are going to end up back at last with even Ubers. Aimer is going down. It's a stalemate. We should be seeing the counter sag. As we see Shining Star kind of just clearing lobby. They're just trying to clear all their corners, I guess. Maybe hoping they can find a straggler as Toss jumps forward into bats. No
He just
dead.
oh my gosh, Vegan with a really nice shot onto Toss. That was extraordinarily nice. It was a good heads up, I want to say, from Toss. He saw an opportunity and managed to like get all the way out to bats, but by then the entire team was backing up and his team wasn't really forward enough to support him. Sniper in lobby, Yum Yum playing very aggressive, trying to find any angle he can onto Ermpy but Ermpy is playing currently below Cheese. Pretty hard angle for a Sniper to get undo that hit, but looks like he's trying to do what he can to make it work. Actually going all the way into left lobby right now, seeing if there's an angle there, but no,
And
he knows it's about his time to back up as...
do want to point out the defensive spy coming out from Tots. He is hurt. It seems he ate Splash, but it does not seem that that Dior has actually noticed that they do have a spy. So he has a small window here to maybe make a play as the team is getting aggressive in lobby, but this is just everybody just kind of walking in circles and turned around. This is not going to be an easy backstab for Toss.
Yeah, Kavita's spinning around a good bit. Almost all of them are spinning around a good bit. It's definitely going to make it a bit tricky. Everyone kind of on high spy alert still. This seems like a very non-spy friendly game, I gotta say. Everyone just seems to constantly be ready for that spy class.
Yeah, I'm thinking, you know, as Dior is kind of setting up for their sack wave, they're double spamming and lower. This is probably the golden opportunity for Toss when they're most distracted. Oh, but and if you ever play Spy, you know the best time to decloak is always the moment they turn around. As he decloaks right behind Cavito, he just turns around and pipes.
We see Vegan getting a really solid force on Array. However, the heals from Ermpy are actually really committed, since it's going to be an exchange as opposed to just an Uber force. Because now Ubers are ending near lobby because we did see Ermpy flash a lot. Anthony's going to get caught out in the door. Cavito trying to peek and keep people back from being able to enter lobby. Only going to be able to do that for a limited time. Ray bowing up her players, keeping them healthy, as now the entirety of Cat Posse is coming in off of that 2 scout advantage. I don't believe there's anyone that's going to be able to attempt for a back cap, as we see Vegan bombing and trying to find what he can, but he's only met with 2 scouts. Oh no.
Yeah, this is looking like it's going to be sort of just a walk into mid here. They are down 1 soldier for a long time. I'd like to see some pressure catwalk, even if it's even, because you can do a lot with just that 1 pick going into mid here. But I'm saying all this and they're not making a move. They're more than happy just to vibe. So
yeah,
that's gonna give.
They do have that 2 round, and I think it's more comfortable to sit on your round advantage as opposed to maybe push up, make it a little bigger. But that's all right. Even Ubers race sitting on point. This is kind of the standard 20-20-21 sort of hold. I want to say, having your combo more towards the yard as opposed to holding close saw.
Yeah, it's I've been seeing a lot too, and it definitely. It's kind of is a pain for the solo roamer sack, which is what we see yet again from Dior and from Cat Posse going back into them. The medic one they play on point on Snake Water second is so far back, as you can see. Vegan tries to cancel the bomb because you just realize halfway through that you were just not gonna make it.
Yeah, it's a rough play to go for. We see scouts taking kind of a 1v1 and lower. Yum meeting 3 players actually, who was initially looking to go 1v1 versus the opposing scout of Collapse, ends up becoming a 3v1 with Anthony and Vegan, or Aimer actually maybe coming in. Now we see Dior Addicts moving their heels lower. They're getting really aggressive. Soldier bombs coming
so
from Cat Posse
spam,
from the eye, but
Aimer
a lot of
gets
damage
in on the distraction. That was great. That was a great distraction from his team, pushing lower. Even though they took so much damage, it really was just a distraction for Aimer to get onto the medic there. They are going to lose Vegan in Saw, and yeah, Cat Posse commits. Oh, and Tank drops his scout.
He drops everyone, actually. It's only him and Cavito. Cavito hitting some really good damage onto Shining Star, but it's not really going to be enough, as now Ermpy even caught out. We see Cavito might likely die as well, but he maybe will. Yeah, he actually bottles down Toss to save his own life. Being chased by a scout a bit, not going to commit, and that's going to be a bit of Uber ad for Ray and sitting at about 60%. Ermpy not inside. Claps, however, is sniping right now. I think he is not in the forts.
No,
yeah, he's sniping from Cheese.
Definitely
That's a pretty good angle.
A chance, but nope. Shining Star is on that immediately. Not going to give up that angle. And yeah, Cat Posse very wisely is trying to take a second for free just off the fact that they have heals and Dior doesn't. I say as Kurama gets sniped down. It does open the door for more peaks, more counterplay. We see both soldiers in lower spamming but not committing. And
Yeah,
the
but we
Uber
see a
comes out for
double
Cat
scout Uber,
Posse.
and it looks like Ernfy Take just gets absolutely
Oh,
mulched by Yum Yum and Shining, and now they're all in the sniper. They're just barreling and taking this Uber super deep, and now they're just
KTB
collapsing
in.
off of damage. However, it looks like they're just trying to get damage on the point. They got a lot of it, but picks are
It's
coming in
good. It's
fast.
looking
It's
good.
looking
Aimer's
really
lit.
good.
Antony's down. That's the wipe. There's an absolute train of a double scout Uber tend around there.
That was such a good double scout Uber. I think they saw, like, they're all close, and if they're trying to be greedy with the space they have and we have Uber, let's just take it into them.
Turns to a 3-0 half for Cat Posse. Oof.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's looking pretty dominant, I gotta say. Yum Yum
y-
and Shining are kind of tearing it up right now. I feel like they've had a really strong presence this entire time.
yeah, no, it's something I've noticed from Dior, and I think this has been their kind of kryptonite so far in this match is they've just their post Ubers are just are not well, they don't have good post Ubers. They kind of get caught in all of them, and they position poorly. I think they've lost every single post Uber fight. pr- I want to say pretty badly, and either that or very badly so far. Either the Ubers come out and they just kind of hard commit and wipe, or they just don't back out far enough, as we saw when they got the force and lower, and they just all got caught by it, even though it was such a good force.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's kind of interesting. I wonder how much of this is on the coordination and communication within the team. Uh, as they're talking to like figure out, oh, should we use back into them? Or do we just want to keep kiting backwards while we're down numbers? And I think this kind of indecisiveness is really getting them caught out a lot. Because I'm not too sure who would really be making those definitive calls on that team. Because I'm not too sure if Ermfy has a was he a pocket player or was he a roaming player? Does he like have a lot of experience in terms of making those sort of calls on the combo?
I wouldn't know, but I will say that as you know, as a pocket scout who's been putting my team through a similar hell recently, it's a very easy call to make as a pocket scout to say, all right, the Ubers are evenly exchanged. Hey, you know what? Let's just commit in this open space, have a nice dry fight. Me, the pocket scout, I have a pretty good advantage in this open space. But what you don't realize is that open space is really bad for the rest of your team. So that's the biggest thing I see is that they get into this open space, they all clump up, and they either get blown up or they can't escape if it ends up being a bad exchange. So that I mean that's my hedge is that they take these exchanges and then I'm thinking it's the pocket scout that's saying like let's commit to this. But it's a trap because you think like it's an even fight, but it's the small differences in position, you know? The defending team just is standing on that ledge, they're on that roof, they're on that fence, and they can just kind of shoot down at you, sync up. Uh yeah, it's not as easy as it looks in the moment. So this is all
Yeah,
to say that
absolutely.
it's just the thing I want to see change is that they take these exchanges I just want to see them ready to just backpedal out of there once things get a little too fuzzy, you know, just slow the game down a little bit.
Yeah, how about we take a look at these logs, Walrex?
Oh my god, logs?
Yeah, take a little quick peek. I gotta say, just off the bat, I gotta say there is a bit of a DM difference, I think, and you can definitely feel that watching these players. Shining Star and Yum Yum both out damaging Claps and Anthony by a pretty decent margin. I think almost everyone is being out damaged by their one-to-one matchups right now, obviously excluding the medics, but in terms of the med stat line, Ray is doing a good bit more healing than Ermfy and dying considerably less as well.
Yeah, that is something I kept on the back of my mind in case I saw this log was that it is important to remember that one time that Cat Posse got like 3 back-to-back Ubers on last because they just kept killing the mid. That's a
Mhm.
situation where the medic dying isn't indicative of like losing, it's just like you can't push out, you know? It's like just resetting the quo. So I think that's a little inflated. I wouldn't put it on the med diff too much there. But you are right that the damage spread, almost a 5,000 greater damage score going for Cat Posse over Duo right now going into the half. That is a pretty big differential. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I gotta say, Wax, you definitely can't downplay like those Ubers you were talking about, the back-to-back Ubers that Cat Posse had, because a lot of that was riding on the back of their medic Ray living in these important situations, whereas Ermfy Tank, Whether I don't know if it was his fault or if his team's fault or somewhere in between, but just Ray's ability to keep her team in those positions where they actually could keep pushing into last is really important, I'd argue.
Yeah, you get
And
it's even a bit of a difference in play style, right? Like, something that you see a lot of higher level teams is that, they'll still go for sellout plays, sure, but they almost never commit their med with the sellout play. Sometimes they'll let this out with the med to keep building. Sometimes they'll five man as long as the medic lives. But every sellout that Dior has done so far this match, I'm pretty sure Infotank has gotten caught in it. I don't think they five manned because their medic was caught, but he's just been involved.
mhm. Yeah, I think that's kind of part of it. I don't think Tank is a medic player at all. And, I don't know, I'm a med player, I have to wonder how much of this is just, like, knowing what you should and shouldn't commit to, but I don't think I don't think that's the deciding factor in this match by any stretch of the imagination. I think the bigger thing is, like we said, the damage and kill differentials. We actually, see about 21 more kills on the side of, Cat Posse as well, so not only are they able to secure 5,000 more damage almost, they're able to convert that damage into kills, and I think that's the important part.
Yeah, no, it's just been a lot of aggression. Like I've noticed this too. The Cat Posse scouts very, very aggressive, but will rarely die for their aggression. I have seen Claps sort of bot in a few times and then just boop, dead. You know, uh, it's it's a good idea to know where to draw that line and say like I'll commit up to this point for this kill, and then just realize that your life is worth more than that. So, that's a big shout out to the Cap Aussie scouts, which I mean, going into this match is what we expected. Some real front running scouts in the div.
Yeah, it's been pretty nice to see. I think that there's a lot of times where having your 2 scouts just being so well coordinated can add a lot of benefit to your pushes, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing out of Shining Star and Yummy. It looks like they're playing off of each other's damage rather well. Likewise, you do see good damage and good follow up and coordination with the soldiers of Toss and KTB. By the way, we're heading into this next mid. Walrex, what are your expectations? What do you want to see?
Well, the last mid we saw was just a total bot fest. I'm curious if Dior will just kind of keep up with that, just kind of send in six people across the point every lane, or if they're just gonna organize things a bit better. But we do see a relatively standard start to the mid. Aimer going for a high bomb, Vegan with the sync double bomb. A great surf from Ray behind the shed, does get caught by Convito walking forward, but it is a hard commit for everybody on Dior for that pick. Claps committed. Cavito is actually managing to waddle out lower, but Yum Yum is chasing down the
Murphy
medic.
is hard on the medic's tail right now, completely ignoring Kavito in the process, who's trying to get back to their med to defend him, and it looks like now Yum Yum's on the hunt for Kavito as well, as he actually ends up meeting with the soldier respawner. He's gonna actually escape, living with a bit of health, I think, only about 40. He's hiding in drop down right now. I don't know if someone's gonna check that, but him living right now is really solid, as that's gonna keep their team at a full 6 as they push into, if they elect to push in the last. I don't think they will. Ray does have
Nah.
a bit of Uber ad, so it's going to be interesting to see if they want to push off of that ad. However, we do see Anthony and Claps on the off classes. Anthony getting the gun up. Bit of an interesting spot, I gotta say. I don't think it's easily spammed, however, it doesn't really do much besides watch the point. Claps on that sniper. No scouts, interestingly, so the medic's going to have to hold near the gun, putting them in a pretty passive position. I think if Cat Posse and Co. want to take space, get on the sniper or anything, they're going to have the room to do it, but they're sitting at 90% just now, making their way into lobby. Gonna have to see if they want to take it in, and it looks like they do, as they take their Uber in through lower, as, oh
Oh,
no, Kurama gets sniped.
yeah,
It's just gonna
they're
be Shining
gone.
Star.
They're gone. They said we're not getting the gun. They are
Yeah.
gonna pick up Vegan at the door, but they're like,
Yeah.
no, get out of
Slight
there.
silver lining, I suppose, but not too much else. As we see Claps pushing into lobby, gets a lot of really good damage onto Yum Yum. Not able to secure the kill, however, but that doesn't change the fact that we do see that Uber at Ermby tank. Looks like they're just waiting for their last player to come up. Aimer just now spawning, and it's now just going to be the process of pushing out of this dreaded snake water last. They're making their way into lobby, a couple players clearing lower, clearing left, keeping all their
A
angles
great
clear. As
bomb
a
from
good bomb from
KTB.
KTB lands
Oh
two
my.
solid rockets onto Ermby taken. He drops. KTB stealing out his life for it, but Vegan goes down as well. That's an overall favorable trade. Scout Claps gets
Wow,
on the
I
Ray.
saw that. I
Manages
saw
to
Claps go
push.
on to Ray, but I never thought he'd get that pick.
Oh my gosh, he did
Great.
not miss a shot on Ray right there. Maybe keeping his team in it for just a little bit longer, but the entirety of Cat Posse is selling out. They're starting to get cap time, but there's no one that can get on point on the side of Dior Addicts, and that's gonna be it.
Yeah, that pick is not going to pan out. Just once again, just a sellout from Dior is just they're just giving up too much for too little. It was the same thing on mid. They're double bombing for the medic, and then they don't get that, and they commit everybody else just for that medic pick. The two-man for the medic is a stretch, but the four-man is just not worth
Yeah,
it.
it's especially
They
when you're
need
being
to,
pushed back into your own last.
but we see Taz going for the quick flank. Maybe hoping to no, but Claps is meeting him in kitchen, going to stuff that flank as the Dior soldiers do a bomb in or just aimer. Doesn't accomplish a lot, just dies on impact, but Dior does move forward on the space.
Yeah,
And
Vegan gets forward, gets Yum Yum. That's a pretty worthwhile trade for a soldier for Scout, I'd say. Either way, we're gonna see it's even numbers right now. Both teams down players. However, it's both soldiers on the side of Dior Addicts. They're trying to play off their demo damage, but it's just not enough. KTB having to get bowed, going down a good bit, as now it looks like Dior Addicts have all the positioning, and they recognize this. Just not walking forward. It's all up to Kurama to see if he can deny space, but as spawners come in, we actually see the Ubers being exchanged. Ray taking the aggressive Uber. Uber's going to be a bit worse, having to flash a few people, where Ernfy doesn't seem to have to flash as many. Soldiers now bombing in. Good bomb from Aimer onto the soldier of KDB, but however, Shining Star's going to be able to help him clean it up as Anthony goes in and finds Toss on the flank. Soldier comes in big and getting a really solid bomb onto Ray, not able to hit the rocket and gets taken down immediately by Shining Star. Finally, we see KDB bombing in two clean rockets with the help of Stickies for onto Ernfy tank. Anthony claps go down to the damage. KTB not even losing his own life for it, as now they're going to be trying to chase Kavita. Kavita with a pretty good surf backwards into lobby. It looks like he's going to be able to live on a sliver of 46 HP. Same with Aimer as he went forward to help his demo, but his demo didn't even need it. And it's going to be Uberad now on the side of Ray, as well as a bit of player to take second for free.
yeah, no, this is not looking good for Dior on their match point here, and this is not looking good. I'm feeling yes, the claps on Sniper definitely feeling like it's a miracle shot or bust here. The gun is up, but Cat Posse's Ubers have been relatively spot on so far this game. We're just gonna have to see how things pan out. Pretty standard positioning from Dior on the hold. The Uber does come in through Shutter, and point pressure is immediate, but here come the soldiers to stuff it. They are taking damage, but everybody's
Yeah,
on the point. It's just such
oh,
a
it's just
good
claps.
push.
It's just claps. They're able to find Kurama at the last second, but not going to be able to find all 5 picks. And
Just an absolutely textbook push from Cas Posse. Just pressuring the point, getting them all to funnel onto the point, and your demos and soldiers just spam, spam, spam. Not a lot you could do in that position. So yeah, that's gonna wrap up the match. So
yeah,
a
it's a
quick
big
5-0.
5 out. I think you're right. It's kind of going to show who's really going to be in that top 4 position of advance this season. I think, yeah, Cat Posse, really dominant showing.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. I was big fan of Claps going into this. I also know Anthony. I thought he was really more of a soldier man. I see him on Scout. Uh, maybe even off a bit, but Yum Yum and Shining Star just really sort of putting on an exhibition. The biggest line in the sand I'd have to say is that when the Jor Scouts went in, they were kind of committed. But the Cap Posse Scouts really knew like how aggressive they could get without dying. And that was just such a valuable tool in these drawn out team fights. The other thing was the mids. It just seemed like Dior had this one mid that basically involved double bombing Ray, and that's just not that easy against a medic that knows how to surf and scouts that know how to shoot. And yeah, it just like they never got that pick for free or cleanly, and they just bled for it. So I think they had to revise their mid if they really wanted a chance to roll things forward. But yeah,
Yeah, I really do think that Ray with really excellent movement on these mids kind of put an entire wrench in the entire plan of Dior Addicts mids, because I think another part that they were really missing was they were kind of relying on their soldiers to get that pick a little bit cleaner than they were able to, and they didn't have enough forward presence in those late mids, and by the time that they were able to do anything by getting forward, they just didn't have the health, and they were down numbers because both of their soldiers sold out for just the medic, and in that early fight when you're trying to take space before the heals and buffs have actually dwindled out, it's not actually as big of a net as you would expect it to be when you're down 2 explosive classes on the middle fight.
and
As a result, it's not the most favorable trade if you can't really secure your own medic's life off of it.
yeah, this is all neglecting also just Cap Posse's Ubers just very well measured. Even when they went wrong, Posse was very smart about getting their medic out alive and preserving their Uber or Uber ad or just evening things out. Uh, yeah, I think I can't really think of any spot in the game, the mids, the stalemates, or the pushes that Posse was dropping the ball at all. It was just sort of just a wave, just kind of waiting for Dior to make one mistake and just punishing it.
Yeah, looking at the logs again, again, I think we're seeing just the ultimate DM difference. With looking at combined logs, it's a solid about 5,500 more damage with 32 more kills for the side of Cat Posse. I really feel that the DM difference is just kind of interesting to me because I don't know. It seems like when you see these players take 1v1s, it shouldn't be quite as decisive as it is, but I don't know. It's interesting to see Walrex.
Yeah, both are deceptive. I will say that when your team has six more Ubers than the other team, that part of the game where you can do damage and cannot take damage, it can definitely skew things. So I wouldn't put it to raw DM for that sake, but I will say that I do think a big part of it was like the scouts. If a scout goes down, they're not doing damage for 20 seconds. Yum Yum and Shining Star were almost always on the board, chip shotting, cleaning up 30 they here, 30 there. It's gonna add up. And the KTB Rock is always there when you needed him to clean up, make space, stuff. Uh, yeah, I just think Cat Posse. I honestly don't think it was just raw DM. I just think it was the survivability. Knowing when to take your fights and just kind of staying on the board for when the right fight arrived. Uh, I think that was the biggest difference.
Yeah, and I think another one important difference that's worth mentioning was the soldiers on the side of Cat Posse, their timing with their bombs. They were very good about getting in at times where it seemed dior addicts just weren't quite ready for it. And as a result, Earthy Take would go down, get two rocketed pretty quickly, I'd say. Um, Likewise, like, oh, I guess, on the contrary, when we saw the bombs from, Vegan and Aimer, they'd go in, and it seems like the entirety of the Cat Posse team was just expecting it. They'd get their scouts to deny, Ray would be ready to surf, and end up living most of the time. She only died 4 times throughout the whole match, which is definitely solid, but, for a 5-0, it can be understandable when the med stats are this lopsided in a 5-0.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna count Dior out of this season yet, not by any means. A little trouble at mid, a little trouble pushing out of last. Really could all come down to the map. I am gonna be curious to see how they do moving forward, moving on to different maps. Maybe if their coordination evolves over the season, they come up with new plays, get better at, pushing out, coordinating sellouts, getting the medic out alive. There's a lot of small moves they can make that can go a long way, but as of this match, I think Cat Posse has done a pretty good job as cementing themselves as a very top contender. With a lot of top players on their individual classes for the season. Looking for that number one spot. Uh, I'm playing against them. Yeah, you will see how things pan out. I'm gonna be a little spooked, not gonna lie.
A little bit of fear from Walrex.
They're looking good, they're looking good. I really couldn't see any flaws. Not that I was looking on purpose like I was gonna do the demo review, but no, their whole game was looking well rounded.
That's good, yeah. Uh, Excited to see how both of these teams do later on in the season. Just gonna be a matter of time to see what happens. But with that, I don't think there's too much else to discuss. Any closing thoughts?
No, just shout outs to the boys if you know, you know. Uh but yeah, I think that was a good clean match, really kind of setting the stand for the season. Setting the teams into their appropriate spots, and I'm excited to see how things play out.
Yeah, my one shout I think is shout out to Peppermint. I love Peppermint. Um, yeah, Antlers, I know they can't hear you. You got any shout outs? Alright, no shout outs for Antlers. So yeah, I think with that we're gonna be signing off for now. You can find our social media things in the Twitch chat, and yeah, with that, have a good night, everyone.